Hello, good morning, Love Wrestling. It is Tuesday, February 25th, 2025. We are back together once again.
Yay.
I am back from a much-needed mini vacation to get away from things, take some deep breaths, have a good time, not worry about the world crumbling around us. And we're back. We're having a good time. We're ready to go. We got a lot to discuss, Drew, today, obviously being Firmly WWE. Sandy, good to see you. Thank you. We appreciate that. We are two of your favorites. That makes us feel good. We love that. If you are here watching on the YouTube, click that thumbs up. Click that bell for notifications. Scott popping in already this morning as well. Good to see everybody rolling on in. Yeah, Drew, what did I miss last week? Pretty eventful week. I didn't get to talk about Grand Slam, which I thought ended up being a fantastic show. We'll talk more about that on Thursday. But yeah, last week, I thought a pretty decent episode of Monday Night Raw, and then I'm on vacation. My phone starts blowing up on I think it was the day before, a Wednesday night, Thursday morning, whatever it was, that The Rock is going to be at Smackdown on Friday, the final boss. And then everyone, Hoosier, good morning. Thanks for popping in, man.
Good morning.
And then everybody, was like, here we go. He's putting himself in mania. He couldn't stay away. We're doing this. We're doing that. And everybody for a day and a half is speculating whatever the hell The Rock's going to do. And then we get to SmackDown. And before we dive into SmackDown, I should be a polite host. How was the week last week without me? I know we had our buddy Dan fill in on this Firmly WWE last week, and then you did a little solo, solo Sokoa, but you did a little solo trek for AEW. How was the week last week?
It was wonderful.
Wow. All right, you want me to go?
No. I missed you, but it's very interesting because putting myself in your position is frightening, and it's not something that I enjoy doing very often because knowing that you were going to be out that week,
yes,
with Dan and then even with myself on Firmly AEW, the amount of note taking of
it's a lot, isn't it?
I need to touch on this topic, and steer the show in a certain direction.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult. It's very difficult, and a lot of people listen. If you're not a podcast person, or just somebody who needs to take charge of something in general, it's difficult if you're not in that role often, and then it gets thrown at you. It's like, oh, okay, so now you have to lead this team to figure out this problem, or you've got to host this show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, while I am also on this show, I do not tend to, JPJ and I, we both, and I think JPJ would agree, neither one of us are like the main host and the co-host. It's just, we're both the same.
Yes.
But JPJ's style and my style are a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it's really fun to do when you're not used to doing it, because it makes you see it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, I did enjoy last week because I put myself in your shoes and was the host. Not by saying host, but I was the
The lead chair. That's what we
lead.
call it.
Okay,
The lead
that's
chair.
it. The lead chair. Yes,
Yeah.
and it is fun to do. It's a little stressful. It was very stressful on Thursday because that was
Well,
like,
you did the
okay,
solo thing.
I'm doing it by myself, and I haven't done a podcast by myself in
the
years.
solo. That's the one thing I've done a couple, obviously, at least on Love Wrestling. I don't think I've ever had to do the solo thing. I've thought about doing it on a couple occasions, but I don't think I've ever done it. Solo is one of those things where obviously I do feed off people well, but going solo is even like a big thing for me. When I think about it, I'm like, oh, imagine.
Yeah,
Like,
so
yeah.
I had like a script almost of everything that I wanted to touch on Grand Slam and Dynamite, and making sure, okay, get this done because I've gotta fill time by myself.
Yep.
So, so
Yep.
yeah, I do enjoy doing it. Maybe I'll host a podcast on my own one day, just to
Maybe.
get that spark back.
Yeah.
Uh, but it was fun. But I'm glad that you're here and we get to talk about a wild, wild week of WWE programming.
Yeah, it was. We got Sunday Center saying that we have heat. He says,
Oh, why?
JPJ, we have heat, pal. You can't be hoarding Drew.
Hoarding.
You had a whole week to himself last week. I'm not hoarding Drew. What are we talking
I don't
about?
know. I wouldn't call that hoarding exactly.
Drew hopped on so we do watch-alongs on my own personal channel for at least, listen, if they're going to keep on pumping out episodes of Smackdown like they did last Friday, we're not going to be doing Smackdown watch-alongs because I'm not taking 3 hours of my time to watch a bunch of video packages. And I didn't say the full word, so maybe that might skeet by. But we do watch-alongs on my own channel for Raw and SmackDown, and Raw, NXT, and most SmackDowns. And Drew hopped on last night with me, Josh Robinson, and Peggy. That's the Monday Night Crew. We had a good time, and it was a good episode of Raw, and we're going to be talking about that episode of Raw. But
we have one thing to talk about first, though.
Yeah. There's something that happened on SmackDown that we obviously need to talk about before we get to Monday Night Raw. Like we said I think it was the day before, last Thursday, or even that Wednesday. It was something a couple days before we got the news that broke that the final boss, The Rock, would be showing up on SmackDown. And everybody was like, oh, okay, what's going on? What do we need? What's he doing? Is he gonna, and everybody was asking, what do we think The Rock's gonna do? And whatever. And I our pals at Fightful threw a tweet out there and they said, what do you think The Rock's gonna do tonight on SmackDown? And my response was, he's gonna announce, because they were in New Orleans, he's going to announce that WrestleMania is going to be in New Orleans next year. That is the main thing he is going to be there for. I thought there was even potential that he would announce that his last match would be at that WrestleMania. I thought there was potential for that. But he obviously, that's what I thought. But everybody was like, oh, well, we still got, it's going to be him and Roman. They're doing it. He's going to wrestle. And, then we find out on Friday that his segment is going to involve Cody and things like that. And then everybody's like,
and then there's a press conference after.
Then there's a press conference afterwards on a Friday night SmackDown, which is not normal. And everyone's like, okay, so something gigantic is happening. Why are they doing a press conference after a random ass SmackDown? And then we get the show. Now, we're not going to dive in to the SmackDown show as a whole, because I personally thought that might have been the worst television show since Triple H has been in charge. That was an awful episode of SmackDown. Not everything. There were fine things on there, but I thought as a whole that episode of SmackDown was pretty trash. It was, even with the Rock segment, it was not good. It felt like it was video packages galore. It was just, once you announce The Rock, I feel like The Rock needs to open the show.
Yeah, agreed.
When you throw him at the 10 o'clock hour and everybody knows The Rock's going to be there. You had a 6-man tag booked that you completely scrapped and made it a regular tag match because The Rock wanted Cody Rhodes removed from that match because The Rock needed to talk to Cody. And then you make us wait 2 hours to see The Rock. Nobody's going to like what's on their TV screen, especially if you're throwing them a dog shit episode like we saw on Friday.
I guess you could say creatively, SmackDown's in the doghouse.
It's rough. And, you and I had a little bit of a dialogue on Twitter over the weekend as well, because when they first announced that SmackDown was going to 3 hours, we had a long conversation on this show, Drew, about it. And, yep, Sandy, Pretty Deadly is getting over. We'll talk about that, not tonight, but in due time when they win those tag titles. We will talk about it because they are getting over. You know why? Because they're really good at everything. Okay.
Mellow don't miss.
Okay. What a, Mello deserves better.
I'm calling
hashtag give Mello a chance. That's what I'm doing.
Mello don't miss will be your new SmackDown tag.
I don't think so. I do think they're going to stick with it. I wouldn't be shocked if they're in the
garbage this fucking show is. Okay.
Well, but the tag title picture though, honestly, is like one of the few bright spots with all those teams kind of mixed in.
Give it time.
Yeah.
It's in the doghouse.
But okay. So anyway, they shouldn't have made us wait till the 10 o'clock segment. They should have just been at the beginning. If that promo's at the beginning, I think it's still a weird promo, and we'll talk about it right now. But I think it hits a lot differently because we weren't waiting around for 2 hours. We weren't waiting around for it. But The Rock comes out. He does what I thought he was going to do.
First of all, he came out with that different entrance music.
He did. It was a Lil Wayne song. He said in the press conference it was a Lil Wayne song.
Hopefully that's the only time that happened.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I like Lil Wayne though. I don't know if I have any SNL fans here in the chat, but they did that 50th anniversary last weekend, and Lil Wayne performed, and he ruled. So I'm a fan of Lil Wayne. I didn't know what the hell that was in the song. I'm like, this. I thought he got Def Rebelled, and I was like, you Def Rebelled The Rock?
Same.
The Rock.
I thought that too.
I was like, that's who you Def Rebelled? The Rock. What are we doing here? But Rock comes out, and the first half of his promo, he's doing his Rock thing. He's kind of being a bad guy, but he's kind of being a good guy. He's making fun of the audience, but he's also thanking the audience. And he officially announces that next year WrestleMania will be in New Orleans, which we all knew, but it's official now. I believe it's the 11th and 12th next year, something like that. April 11th and 12th, 2026. It'll be in New Orleans at the Superdome. New Orleans is always a good spot for Mania. It's always a good spot. The crowd's usually always pretty, so that should be a lot of fun. And then this promo turns into the second half of it, where he puts over Cody Rhodes again. He says, there's been a guy carrying the mantle here, and I want to call him out. We become friends over this little time. He's talking. He goes in. He calls Cody Rhodes out. So Cody comes out. Oh boy, Drew. And then this thing just did what it did. It just did what it did. He's talking about how Cody's a great champion.
Sandy, I agree. More turns than the Big Show in one promo.
Yeah. And he goes, our moms have become good friends. We've become good friends. He shows a picture of the moms hugging and smiling. Okay, great. And, they're all, we become friends. I admire you, blah, blah, blah. We put our things aside. He goes, but here's the thing, man. He goes, I'm on the board. I do own, and then he starts kind of leaning in. He goes, I do own everything. He goes, I own everything. And he starts talking like that. And he's like, I am kind of, the guy that's pulling the shots around here. And he goes, Cody, I admire you. He goes, I didn't expect our friendship. He goes, but I want to know, will you be my champion? And Cody's like, what? acting job of the century. I'm surprised they didn't just shoo in Cody for an Academy Award next week nomination with the facial expressions that we saw from Cody here. You just couldn't believe what was happening. He meant, The Rock drops the TKO name. He drops the board. He mentions his consigliere, he calls him. Ari Emanuel. Was this the Godfather? Consigliere. Unbelievable. He's saying that. He says he's the most powerful man in WWE. He wants Cody to be more than our champion. He wants Cody to be his champion. And then they start talking, and Cody's like, "What do you mean?" He mentions his Instagram followers. And he goes, "Yeah, you got that." He goes, "I got 6 billion," whatever he said. I don't know. And he's going in.
Like,
and then
Cody's like, "Oh, so you want the title? You want
the
title?"
The whole time Cody's like, "So you, yeah."
No.
And
it's just like kind of caressing.
Yeah, he touches his cheek at one point. He's like, "Oh." And he goes, No, I don't want your title. He goes, "I want your soul." And I was like, "What is he, the fucking Undertaker? What is this? What the fuck? When did he become the Undertaker? Well, you want his soul?" And then Cody is just perplexed. He has no idea what to do. He has no idea. He's looking at the crowd. He's looking at the ring. He's looking in the sky. He has no idea what to do. And The Rock kind of...
Don't say that yet, Dan, because the next thing that Rock's supposed to be involved in might be...
yeah, that is true. The Rock was announced that he's doing a Martin Scorsese flick, where I think he's going to be the main villain in it. Was what it sounds like, which I'm all right with that. Yeah. He's just going to be the final boss. Like he is going to be the final boss that we saw last year at Mania, that whole stretch. I'm convinced that's what got him booked in that role. Because they were like, yeah, Scorsese might have seen a clip of something and was like, "I want that guy. That's the guy that I want as my bad guy in my next movie." That's a star-studded cast too, is Scorsese. I think DiCaprio's in that shit. Damn, dude. Let's go.
Yeah, it's gonna be something.
Let's go. But anyway, Drew, what did you think? Obviously, there was a lot more. This promo went on for like 35 minutes. And I didn't even know what the hell The Rock was talking about half the time. And I'm not anti-Rock, but what the hell? Even for that segment, I was like, this is awful. I did not like it. Not like it.
If people don't know me, if you may be tuning into the show for the first time, I am very much into the final boss, as you can tell. I have a final boss shirt. I have this beautiful little pop figure. The final boss is the reason why we have a show called Firmly WWE. The reason why I went with Sinner to Philly WrestleMania week, to WWE World and Smackdown. See, I just put him over and then he does that shit.
Unbelievable. Can't trust anybody.
Well, that's all right.
Can't trust anybody around here. Speaking of, if you want your comments, questions, anything 100% guaranteed to be shown on the screen and have Drew and I talk about a topic, whatever it is, send a super chat. We'll show it on the screen and we can kind of discuss what you want us to discuss, as long as it's appropriate and within reason, you heathens. Anyway, let's continue, Drew. Sorry.
So I was like, okay, what the hell is going? When this announcement happens, like, okay, The Rock is going to be on Smackdown, and then there's going to be a press conference, and we knew that the WrestleMania announcement was probably happening. But then why else? If they're doing a press conference, there must be another reason why. It's not. They don't just do a random press conference.
Well, The Rock had to tell us all about the fish that he ate. He had to tell us about dinner.
So it turns out the press conference really was just about the WrestleMania announcement and whatever else The Rock wanted to talk about. But the promo though, it's rambled in a way that Rock tends to ramble sometimes. It's like, okay, I've got to say WrestleMania is in New Orleans. and I want Cody Rhodes' soul. Those are the 2 bullet points. So now we're going to talk for 20 minutes.
Yep. Yep.
And we'll get to those bullet points eventually. It'll be a long-winded 20 minutes, and then we'll hit bullet point 1, and then we'll wait another 10 minutes or so. We'll hit bullet point 2.
Yep.
Hey, I'd rather be unscripted than scripted, to be honest with you.
I agree.
So I'm kind of okay with that. Immediately after this promo, I was like, oh, I think I tweeted, like, so The Rock's just basically playing his new role that he's playing in Scorsese's film. Like, he's just tweaked the final boss into a mob boss character. Because I'll tell you, for those who maybe did not watch the show, I literally just watched the show, finished watching the show for the second time. It was very Sopranos-esque because for those who don't know the show, in it, the Tony Soprano obviously is the mob boss, and his nephew Christopher Moltisanti, played by Michael Imperioli, excellent actor.
Don't give anything away. One of the great shows of our time, by the way. Really, The Sopranos was like the first TV show that was like, like TV shows are like of equal value to movies now, like in quality and in, you know what I mean? Like The Sopranos was like one of, if not the first show where everybody was like, holy shit, man. Like this is like it's changed TV, how good like that type of show was. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But in the show, he is grooming his nephew, Christopher, played by Michael Imperioli, to like basically take over for him when he's done. And there's storylines through the show where sometimes it looks like that is going to happen, and sometimes it looks like that isn't going to happen, based off of Christopher's drug use and many other things in the show. And what this reminded me, it really just kind of like reminded me of that, though, because in a very similar way here, it looks like The Rock is trying to groom Cody into being his corporate champion in the way that Vince did to him way back in the 90s. And I don't hate it. I don't hate that aspect of it, because it's been a while, a long while, since we've had like a corporation style storyline. They had The Authority.
Well, I was gonna say not that long. The Authority was less than 10 years. Like that was not terribly long ago.
It's long enough in wrestling.
This is a different take on it. I mean, obviously the Bloodline was kind of not. You can make an argument that Roman and the Bloodline was also a authoritative.
No, but the Bloodline didn't involve an authority figure.
He was making the matches, Drew. Roman was in charge.
Yeah, but he's not the GM.
No, I agree.
Or the owner.
Yeah, I agree.
That's why I said like a corporate type of storyline. Instead, like, yeah, there's a guy, like there's Tony D'Angelo in NXT, but he's not Ava. He's not Shawn Michaels.
Correct.
So in the same vein, Roman is not Adam Pearce, although he could kind of run Adam Pearce for a little while. Or at that time, Vince or Triple H. So when this happened, I'm like, okay, this is the worst thing. I don't hate this.
Yeah.
What is the, because there's multiple avenues here that we can come to with this being a thing now. So now obviously Cody has to give his answer at Elimination Chamber.
Yes, which we'll kind of run through the chamber card. Yeah. Because there is some stuff on Raw, because I do obviously want to talk about that segment, and then I want to kind of turn it in, because we saw Cody address this on Raw. And so, because like you said, there are avenues of how this is going to go. Do we think Cody is going to sell his soul to The
Honestly, I
Rock?
kind of so let's
So
talk. Okay,
I don't
so
know.
how
I
about
don't know
this?
how you want to do. Do you want to talk about
Let's
the
talk
Cody stuff
about
that
let's
happened on
talk
Raw
about
now?
let's talk about the Cody Seth thing,
Yeah,
and then I want to talk about Logan and Punk,
that was a good promo segment too to start the show.
which
Um,
I didn't say his name very often. But
listen, listen. I think
it's more
everybody
about Punk
here.
in that though. But
Yeah, I
let's
think
do
everybody
Cody and Seth.
here. Yeah, I think everybody here, when it comes to Logan Paul, they need to know, or they should understand, that there's a caveat that we do not like Logan Paul personally. Personally, we are not on the Logan Paul train, but he's fucking good. He's fucking good.
Well, I wasn't that
Uh,
opening. It wasn't really about Logan for me. It was about
it was
Punk
more
and
Punk,
a
yeah, but
specific
he's
line.
yeah,
But let's get there when we
yeah.
get there. Let's
All
do
right,
Cody and
so
Seth.
Cody shows up on Raw. He comes out the ring to cut a promo, and he's talking about what happened on Friday. He doesn't even ask the crowd his normal, what do you want to talk about? He says, I know what we're supposed to talk about tonight. Like, I know what we're supposed to. And then he's like, what does it mean to ask for someone's soul? And he starts going in and he's talking about it. He goes, but this is not just a thing that involves me. He goes, I am not a thing of one. This success story is not a solo story. I have a wife. He mentions Brandy. He mentions his daughter. He mentions his mother. He mentions Dusty. The crowd breaks into a Dusty chant.
Did
And
not like that he didn't mention his brother. I
he
mean,
should have mentioned Dustin. He should have
come on,
mentioned Dustin. Yeah,
let's not
I
do
agree.
that.
I agree. He mentioned little Brody. He mentioned little Brody in this promo in the Nightmare Factory. So he gave Brody Lee's kid a shout out in this promo as well. He
And
mentioned
not even his own brother.
yeah. He talks about his nephews breaking into the business. So I assume those are Dustin's kids, obviously, or maybe no, his sister's kids. I don't know.
I think
He mentioned his nephews. Yeah. He said he talked about Dusty like my father worked into his 60s on the independents, still bleeding and hurting his body and breaking his body just to make ends meet and all stuff like that. And he goes, The Rock is saying that I could have all this without having to do that. That's what he's offering me. And then not immediately, but then Seth Rollins music hits and Seth Rollins comes out. And this got really good. Seth comes out. He says, I would love to be celebrating this moment with you, tell you how proud I am of you, congratulate you. Nearly a year as champion. He goes, but that's not why I'm out here. And he starts talking about, I'm out here to ask you the same thing that everybody's wondering. Like, what are you thinking, man? What are you thinking? He goes, nearly a year ago, I stood side by side for you. And he goes, against Roman Reigns, against the Bloodline, against The Rock. And now The Rock's asking for your soul. You're thinking about going with The Rock. And he says, don't make me regret what I did last year. And I thought that this was very good because even Cody, I thought Seth was great here. I thought Seth was truly
this
great
is one
here.
of his best promos.
And Dan says it. Seth was fantastic. I agree. I think Seth was excellent here. And I think Cody was also excellent in putting Seth over. Cody admitting that Seth was the MVP of Mania last year and that Cody would not have won the title if it wasn't for Seth.
And it's
like
true.
that.
It's very true.
100% true. But like that that means a lot for Seth. Like, because Seth last year, even though he was he kind of felt like an afterthought. You know what I mean? He was the fourth guy, he was Cody's partner. He was the fourth guy. He kind of felt like he was just kind of fit in there. So for them to kind of put Seth over that way and Cody to admit that, I thought was really good. And, and Cody says, you had one knee, your back was scrambled to crap, and you did what you had to do. And I would not have been able to do what I had to do if it wasn't for you. And Seth is, talking. But then Cody kind of goes, yeah, but let's not sit here and act like you're Mr. Perfect either, buddy. He goes, because you turned your back on the Shield and you drove a chair into the back of the Shield and you joined the Authority and you did what you had to do. He goes, so don't
Even
sit
said
here
that
and
the Authority was part of the reason that drove him out of the company.
yeah, and he said, and you drove me and other people out of the company with the Authority. And he was like, so let's not sit here and pretend that you're Mr., you did what you had to do. And then, Seth goes, listen, he goes, you're your own man. I'm not going to tell you what to do. He goes, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Elimination Chamber on Saturday and I'm going to win Elimination Chamber. And he goes, in at WrestleMania, I don't want the guy showing up who sold his soul to The Rock. I want the guy who returned and beat me at WrestleMania. He goes, I want the guy that took me to my limit and beat me with a torn pec and one arm inside Hell in a Cell. I want that guy at WrestleMania. And he goes, and I think the line that he said was, he goes, don't make me hate you, Cody Rhodes. Don't make me hate you. And he drops the mic and he leaves. And Cody, once again, being left in the ring, just perplexed, thinking about a lot of stuff, Drew. Cody's been thinking. He's had to been thinking.
Yeah.
Here.
He's got a lot of thought, a lot of thinking to do.
Yeah. And then I thought the line that phenomenal. Said, and I thought the line at the end where he goes, at WrestleMania, Seth goes, he goes, I won't be coming for your soul. He goes, but I'll be coming for your title. And that was kind of how, and I thought it was very good. I thought it was very good, Drew. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's this. Josh actually said this last night on the watch along, and I thought this was very, very accurate. That Seth, through the goofy looking, usual shtick that he's got with whatever jacket and shoes and glasses and hat, his wardrobe get up. Through all of that, and I don't mind that at all. I think that it makes him stand out.
Yeah.
On looks alone, so that doesn't bother me at all. He has this very unique skill in drawing you in when he talks.
Yeah,
very pointed with his words. He is very great. He's great on the microphone. He's a great talker, and so I agreed with Josh's point there. Like and with that promo too last night, it really was. It was like, even with Cody's inclusion, like everything that he said, like mentioning that he was the MVP of WrestleMania last year was, the story. The story was really Roman, Cody, Rock.
Yeah,
that's it. And Seth, when they did that press conference where they did the Bloodline family tree and everything, he really just was like the guy in the corner all the way over there. And I think I don't know if Rock or Roman at one point was just like, what's this little guy doing over there? You mean nothing to this. And we all really did think that. It's like Cody, Seth really just like looks like the odd man out here. He looks like the fourth wheel. And in the end, though, they did the tag match night one. Then he had his World Heavyweight Championship match to start night two. And hobbling on one good leg, he came through the crowd when the Shield music hit in that main event.
He got his ass kicked in that match.
He slid in the ring.
He got speared to heaven. He got his ass kicked in that match. Roman speared. He didn't do, but
Roman had a choice.
Sure did.
Take that chair and put down Cody for good and retain, or squash a demon from his past. And he chose the demon. He chose Seth. And if he did not choose Seth in that moment, he was winning that match.
Agreed.
So Seth Rollins played a pivotal role in Mania last year. Pivotal.
Agreed.
So to acknowledge that is wonderful. And also now what this mentioning of the Authority and him turning his back on the Shield did is add yet another avenue, because I already had 3 options coming out of Elimination Chamber in my mind. I had 3 options. But last night there became a 4th option, because I really, really loved this promo, and I almost wonder if they had this promo in this way because of what might happen out of Elimination Chamber.
Maybe. I don't think Seth is going to end up being involved in any of this. I don't know if that's the 4th option. To me, it's between 3 guys. One of these 3 guys is going to sell his soul. Yo, Johnny, good to see you, brother. Hope you're well. Hi, Fernando in the chat as well. Welcome in, my friends. One of these 3 individuals.
Before you mention the names, let's now talk about the opening promo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because one of the guys was in this opening segment. That is one of my 3. Logan Paul starts the show, not in his hometown of Cleveland, but in his home state of Ohio. And shockingly, he is shocked by the what's the word that I'm drawing? How the crowd treats him. They're booing him to high heaven, as you would expect. He seems shocked at the reception. That was the word I was looking for. He's like, hey, I'm also from Ohio. And they boo louder, and he's just like, what? He's looking around like, huh, me? You're booing me? What the hell? He goes, yeah. He goes, I get it. He goes, I'm just way better than you guys. I'm not the normal Ohioan. Like, I'm better than you guys. He goes, I was coming in on my bird today. And he's talking like, talking high and mighty. He's flying in on his jet and all that stuff. This stuff that he leans into, he knows it's going to get a rise out of people because people genuinely don't like him, and he leans into it, and it works for him. So he's doing all that. He's talking crap to the crowd. He's like, I was going to turn around and go back home, but he goes, no, but I'm righteous, man. I'm righteous. And he goes, so let's go to Cincinnati and perform in front of the peasants. He calls them peasants, Drew, because I'm a humble guy. He's talking about beating Mysterio, and he goes, I beat him. I beat him. I got my chance at the Chamber. He goes, I'm going to go there, and I'm going to defeat 3 doorknobs and John Cena to headline WrestleMania, and then I'm going to beat Cody Rhodes and become the face of the company, and then CM Punk's music hits. And CM Punk comes on out, and Logan Paul immediately is like, why? Why are you out here? Why are you jealous of me? He goes, you're jealous of me. He goes, it's because I succeeded everything. He goes, that's why you're jealous of me, because I succeeded everything he does outside of the ring, where your career is a series of failing upwards, he says. And then Punk's like, yeah, I'm not really jealous of you, bro. He's like, you're a dime a dozen. You're willing to do anything for shock value. He goes, and you think that like you're a talent of a generation? And then Punk kind of leans in a little bit, and you can tell there was some truth to what Punk was saying. He was kind of saying everything that, the detractors of Logan Paul, he was saying, you're a shock value guy. You do things on the internet ignorantly and terribly, and you're a dick and all these things. And like, you consider yourself like an actual talented person, even though you're, you got famous off of bullshit kind of thing, And Punk's kind of leaning in on that. And he says, these people deserve better than you. They deserve better than like you. Logan then says that you're bad business. One of the greatest returns in WWE history. He goes, you're one of the greatest returns.
This is also a little bit true as well.
Oh, yeah.
Logan, a little credit here as well.
Yeah. He goes, look, at when you came back, one of the biggest returns in history. And then what happened? You cracked under pressure and you tore your little tricep. That's how he said it. Dick. That was good, though. He goes, because you couldn't handle the spotlight. He goes, that's why I'm here. He goes, you're familiar to all these people. You're Stone Cold. You're CM Punk, John Cena. He goes, that name always changes, man. He goes, that name always changes. He goes, it's only a matter of time before these people get behind me. And then Punk goes, yeah, those names that you mentioned, those are legends, buddy. We're history makers. He goes, and he starts going, you don't make history. He goes, we're history makers. And he starts saying that he's going to go to WrestleMania. He's going to eliminate Logan Paul. And then he's going to go to WrestleMania against Cody. And he's going to do what he has to do. And then Punk gets right in his face. And he basically says, hey, on Saturday, just remember, in the Elimination Chamber, you're the nobody. You're the nobody. And then Logan Paul slaps him right in the face. And he cut him. He it looked like he bit his tongue or bit his lip. Like CM Punk had a little bit of blood coming from the mouth after that slap. And he slaps CM Punk. He slides out of the ring. And Punk just kind of stares him down as Logan Paul is shittily mocking him up the ramp. I thought Seth was originally going to get involved in this. Obviously, we saw him in the Cody stuff later, which was good. But I thought that was going to be like a 3-person with Seth in this, but it just stayed with Punk and Logan, and I thought it was good. I thought it was good. I thought it was good.
Now, you didn't mention something, and I'm happy that you didn't, because this is where I'm leading up to the whole thing with the options, the avenues out of Elimination Chamber. So I think if we take out Seth, you said you have 3 guys. I said I have 3 guys.
Yes.
I think they're the same 3 guys.
I would assume.
So, number 1, Cody Rhodes himself.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, CM Punk.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, let's say it at the same time. On 3. 1, 2, 3.
John Cena. Yes. John Cena. Yes. I think right now, for most people, I would assume those are the 3 top options. They have to be.
Now, I did think with Seth's promo that it was interesting to see, like, they're throwing in that authority thing again, him turning his back on the Shield, and he does already have experience in being an authority, corporate champion type of a thing. These options. First, I think Sandy's saying
these are the top 3 options, at least we think, for who could potentially sold their soul to The Rock.
Yeah.
So I think these are the 3 guys.
Now, let's start with the champion first, Cody. Now, he's had himself quite a run since he's come back to WWE.
Yes, he has.
And I firmly, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, believe that he is not, and I mean, it's pretty obvious, I think he's not obviously going to accept the offer on
Saturday. Yeah, I would lean that he's going to say no on Saturday.
Yeah. It is interesting that it's taking him a little bit too long
he's thinking about it.
Babyface's liking to say no.
I mean, that was part of Seth's promo. Seth was like, part of Seth's thing was like, why did you not say no immediately right on Friday? Why did you not tell him to screw? Like, you should have. That's where they're heading, Scott. That's what it feels like. It's kind of it's kind of a Stone Cold and Vince WrestleMania 17 deal with the devil type situation. Now, here's my thing.
That's why I wore the shirt today. It's
also,
I know you mentioned it.
I know we just talked about CM Punk. Good on CM Punk for the Chicago Teachers Union shirt that he was wearing. Support teachers. So good on CM Punk with that shirt. See, here's my thing though, right? So we're talking about Cody, right? I do agree with you. I think Cody says no on Saturday. Okay. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't think Cody says no and then it's over. Because we got to start talking. And again, we got plenty. Even after Chamber, we have 7 weeks till May. We have plenty of time to see where this goes and what's going to happen. Okay.
So yeah, so it's funny. It's mentioning WrestleMania 17, and
yeah,
and it's funny that was mentioned. That's why I have the shirt, the Do Unto Others shirt, that was the evil Stone Cold shirt. You know, when it came out after WrestleMania 17. By the way, his corporate theme, very underrated. That's a very good theme.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Obviously, the Disturbed version is the best version.
Incredible. Did you
But
know they
yeah,
did a
so-
remaster of that? They like recovered it. It's on their
Oh, they did?
Spotify. Like a month ago.
Oh,
Like
shit.
a newer.
I gotta-
So
I
it's the
gotta
same
listen to that.
song. It's the same song, but they re-recorded it like within the last couple months, and it's on their Spotify. So it's like a new 2025 or late
Hell yeah.
2024 version of the Stone Cold Disturbed song. Excellent.
I gotta listen to that.
Oh, it's tremendous.
So yeah, so what can happen akin to WrestleMania 17 is he comes out and you think Cody comes out and you think that it's just going to be the regular, you know, whoever the Elimination Chamber winner is comes and it's going to maybe win, but it's in that match that it's revealed. Oh, it turns out Cody actually did sell his soul.
Yeah.
The Rock is coming out, and The Rock is there to make sure that Cody does not win this match. But it turns out that he's actually there because they're in cahoots, and he's going to help him win this match.
Yeah, and it has to be in that scenario. That match would have to be against John Cena, in my opinion.
Yeah,
in my opinion, that match would have to be against John Cena. So that's how I think the Cody scenario happens. Is if it ends up being Cody, he says no at the Chamber. We get John Cena versus Cody for the title. Sunday night, night 2, main event of WrestleMania. Randy is going to be dealing with Kevin Owens, I think, at WrestleMania, Sandy. I don't think Randy's getting involved with Cody until after. I could see that being the SummerSlam match if they want. But that would be the thing where The Rock, because Cena to me is another option. And I think it would need to be Cena versus Cody. Because one thing
let's talk about Punk first.
Oh, that's fine. Now, yeah, there's multiple ways I feel like they can do it with Punk. Because I know everybody is just kind of, it's going to be Seth, Roman, and Punk at Mania in a triple threat. What if it's Punk, Cena, and Cody in a triple threat at WrestleMania? With The Rock looming over. Because I would prefer that triple threat with Punk as opposed. I kind of want Seth and Roman to be one-on-one. I kind of want to see them one-on-one more than I want. Now, don't get me wrong. That match with Punk will rule. Either way. But I kind of want to see Roman and Seth one-on-one again at WrestleMania one-on-one. And I think if you can turn this into Punk, Cena, and Cody.
So
that's the money right there, man.
Part of this has to include something that they've not really mentioned as much lately, which I think there's a reason why they've not mentioned as much, why I wanted to mention Punk here. So 2 things. One, what was left out of the promo last night, which you said you did purposefully, is when he's talking to Logan Paul, he says, you know, Logan, you're going to find out on Saturday that I'm Satan himself. You know, what's that line about the devil? The devil makes you think that he's. I don't remember the line.
The greatest trick the devil ever played was making you think he didn't exist, or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. So Punk, who famously has not had his WrestleMania main event moment,
Correct.
Got it taken away from him, at least for now,
by The Rock.
Losing the Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you say? By what?
The year that was supposed to be Punk's main event when he had that big championship, it got taken away from him by The Rock.
By The Rock, yeah.
They have a history. He doesn't like The Rock. However,
at the press conference that they did last year with the Bloodline Family Tree, Punk was kind of going in on Rock a little bit afterwards. Just maybe go, something could happen there.
Yep.
And the second thing is, and Sandy just said it, there's that whole little favor that Paul Heyman owes him.
Yep.
And in order to make this a triple threat for Cody's title, he can walk right over to Paul Heyman and be like, hey, so that favor, this is what it needs to be. And that's how we get the triple threat that you're mentioning. Cody, Punk, Cena. Cena being the Elimination Chamber winner. So I think in any scenario that we have, with any of these three guys being the one that sells their soul, Cena is the Elimination Chamber winner.
I think so. And I think the final two will be Cena and Punk in that chamber. It should be. They should be the final two. And I think Cena should win. And again, I know we talked about Cody. We talked about Punk. Listen.
Yeah.
After the Royal Rumble, I was in the room. John Cena cut that promo, and he said, I'm not even qualifying for the Elimination Chamber. I'm in the Elimination Chamber because that's what's best for business. Remember what the Authority used to say all the time? That's best for business. You know what The Rock said to Cody on Friday? That if Cody sold his soul, it would be best for business. The Rock said that in his promo. Cena said it in the press conference after the Rumble. The Authority said it all the time. I'm just saying. I think Cena, of the three, I'm leaning that Punk would be my top choice at the moment. Like if I was ranking them of what I think will happen, I'd probably go Punk, Cody, Cena right now. That could change in 2 weeks. Who knows? But that's probably my ranking of like what I think I'd probably go Punk, Cody, Cena. But I don't think it's a long shot if it's Cena, dude. I don't think it's a long shot if it's Cena.
So the interesting thing about this is the reason why I had the prediction that Cena could actually be the one to sell his soul. If you remember also last year at WrestleMania, Cena came out to dump Solo Sikoa, and then The Rock came out, and they did their classic, in the ring pose where they both look to the side, like they did for 10 years prior, at that WrestleMania, that famous moment. And it made me go, I was thinking back to that, and I was like, maybe Rock's been in his ear. We just didn't realize, we haven't known because there's been private conversations. We're like, yeah, that feeling that we had, that felt good, didn't it? And so he announces, Cena announces that this is going to be his last year, officially. And I'm like, oh boy, this can be something special, honestly. And there's been a few corporations throughout WWE. There was the corporate ministry, the regular corporation. I think there was another version too, wasn't there?
Those are the two that I remember.
Oh, the Ministry of Darkness, but
that was a little different though. Yeah,
that was the corporation and the Ministry of Darkness blending. But there's never been a Hollywood corporation. And as much as I do think also it should be Punk,
Mm.
because it sets him up for the heel run of the century.
Mm.
Like, even bigger than his heel run back in 2012. I think Cena, with the Hollywood connection, makes a lot of sense here because the both of them are big Hollywood stars, and right now, um, Cole was in that. Michael Cole had that little snippet from the Impulsive interview
Mhm.
that he did, Logan Paul's podcast, where he said WWE isn't pro wrestling anymore.
Mhm.
Right now, with the Netflix era, the big thing, and actually, I think last night was kind of like the first night since they've moved to Netflix where they didn't have like a segment or two where they were showing celebrities in the crowd.
Mhm.
But the whole thing about the Netflix era is stories and movie like what Vince, really always wanted WWE to be, which is the we make movies really versus wrestling and all that stuff. The Netflix era really defines that. And having Cena and Rock be a Hollywood corporation for the Netflix era, I think makes a lot of sense.
Could. I don't know if you want. I mean, again, I would love it. It's the heel turn for Cena that we've been waiting for his whole career. Do you want to do that in his last year? Just to say you did it?
Cena, I see. I've
Because
been
the
going back
crowd
and forth
clearly
on this.
wants Cena to, every time he mentions winning the title, breaking the record, the crowd now, for the first time in 10 years, wants him to do it. We all want him to do it. But if he does it in a way where it's like, oh, you all wanted this, but now I'm a dick and I'm with this guy. But I kind of agree with maybe not no way, but I feel like of all the times, this would be what a time to choose. What a time to choose.
So, yeah, because there were times in his career after, obviously, 'cause he was a heel with the Doctor of
Yeah, the
Thugonomics.
early, yes.
There were times where it definitely could have happened,
100%.
but they never did it. They never pulled the trigger. Kept him babyface forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like you could tell the story where he's doing it now because he's afraid of what happens once he's gone. Once he is no longer in the spotlight of WWE, once he does not have a match anymore with WWE, he doesn't have a WrestleMania match, he doesn't have a SummerSlam match, he's not chasing a title. He hasn't really made his character desperate to win that championship. The 17, it was 17, right? 17 time?
Mhm. Yeah.
That's what he's chasing? But he's making it that now, and it makes me wonder if it's because he can now be put in a position where, as a heel, he can put over the next monster babyface for the company. And I'm not talking about Cody, because Cody already is currently a monster babyface for the company. I'm
Mhm.
talking about the young up and comer. He can put over that person. And instead of his final match being him winning the title as a babyface, his final match is him losing the title to an up and coming babyface that the company wants to crown for the future. Who that is, I don't know. we have a long way. It's only the second month of this year. We have another 10 months to go.
Mm.
It could be Carmelo Hayes. Sandy just mentioned it could be Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah, we have a long way to go. They would need to, I don't know. I don't feel like Cena's going to hold the title a majority of this year. I think he's going to break the record at some point. I don't see him holding a title all year. Like, I don't think that would be the best use of him. I
don't know. I mean,
my thing, like, I feel like the character,
he's the big monster bad guy now, because The Rock is not going to be there after WrestleMania, because the Scorsese film is going to start filming.
Yeah, The Rock will be something like that.
So to have the on-screen heel big bad guy in Cena, and I mean, this could also be Punk if they went with Punk. Because I think what we missed last year after WrestleMania was that final boss like character on TV nearly every week, because the run of The Rock's from the Rumble to WrestleMania was legendary. I don't think there's any arguing that. It was the creation of this final boss character was legendary. And like you said, might have even gotten him this role in the Scorsese film.
I think it did. I think it 100% did. That when he was whipping him outside in the rain, you don't fuck with the final boss. I was like, I could see Scorsese seeing that scene with the blood and the belt, Mama Rhodes, and he's just that whole thing. And I could see Scorsese go, yeah, I want a scene in my movie where he's beating the shit out of somebody.
Yeah.
Just like that, saying the same shit. I wouldn't be shocked if there is a line in the Scorsese movie where he says, you don't fuck with the final boss. Tell me you wouldn't be shocked if he kills if he's a mob boss, he like right before he kills somebody or has somebody killed, he's like, you don't fuck with maybe not yelling, but you know what I mean. Like, would you be shocked? I'd be like, fucking A.
No. I mean, because I think in the Fast and the Furious, one of the Fast
he gave a rock bottom.
He does a rock bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jason Statham. Unbelievable.
So it's like, well, we're leaning into it a little bit, so we might as well just go full.
I think Hoosier kind of,
Rock.
Yeah, I think Hoosier kind of, at least the character that I would think if it does end up being Cena, which I said he would be my lowest ranking one, it would be that he's desperate to break the record and he'll do anything. He'll do anything to get there, including sell his soul to the, like, I feel like that would be the character. Would be like, hey, look, man, I haven't won a big match in 2 years. It's in my last year. I need to win the record and get my name at the top of the record book so I'm remembered forever. And I'll do whatever it takes to do it. Now, again, I think that would be crazy, but I just don't see it now. I'm like, it's been 20 years that this guy, like Dan said, why go 20 years of hustle, loyalty, and respect to just now be a jerk when you have 8 months left? Like that, that doesn't... Yeah, so I feel like, I don't know. I think it's all possible. I would lean to Punk and Cody being the main options.
Yeah. I think that it's the only thing that he hasn't done. And yeah, to do it in his last year is like, really? Now you decide to do it after all this time? I totally get that.
Yeah.
But
that's the only thing with me would be the timing of, like, you're in his last year now where everybody is just going to adore this guy and give him the flowers for the full year, which is what WWE has wanted for Cena for a decade. And then you're just going to, and again, it would be entertaining, don't get me wrong. And I would love to see a heel Cena, even if it was for like a month or two. I don't give a shit. It would be fun to see on TV, but I do feel like it was kind of like,
what
it would be
have to lose at this point.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I just feel like,
and also, so like they did that little bit of a wrinkle. I think Sandy mentioned it earlier. Yeah. He did the heel NWO thing for the match with Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
Remember? It was like, which that
I mean, he's always kind of leaned into it,
He has. But
at Money in the Bank, he played You know, he played straight lace, but like he was the heel in that match with Punk in Chicago in 2011. He was the heel, and if you go and watch that match back, he wasn't being like, he didn't act like a heel, but the way he was wrestling, the way he was kind of pandering to the crowd, like he leaned into it. The match with RVD that Sandy just mentioned at One Night Stand, he was the heel, and he leaned into it. You know, like he's done it in situations before.
I'll say too, and many people don't really point this one out. He also did a little bit lean into it in 2016 when he was, when they brought the brand split back, and he was on SmackDown, and AJ Styles was on SmackDown, and they started their feud. And he's like, I'm John Cena, recognize. He had that, like, not that it was a heel. He wasn't being a heel, but he was being like, listen, I'm the biggest fucking thing in this company.
Yeah.
Just like what he did in the press conference after the Rumble.
When have you ever heard John Cena in his whole career? When has John Cena ever said, yeah, you know what? I'm going to be in this match because I'm John Cena and I deserve to be in this match. I don't have to win my way in it. Me being in this match and me being in the main event of WrestleMania is what is best. He's never talked like that. He's never talked like that. He's earned hustle, loyalty, respect. He's earned everything he's ever done in 20 years. And now all of a sudden he wants handouts. You want handouts now, John, after 20 years. I understand it's your last year and nobody's saying you don't deserve them. But now, after all this time, you're going to come back and say, no, you know what? I deserve to be in that match because I deserve to be in the main event of me. He's never done that. So I think him leaning into that, I think we should pay attention to that. Because that is a little, I don't think what he did after the Rumble was heelish in any way, but he definitely was leaning in.
With Jey Uso and congratulated him for winning.
He definitely, the verbiage he was saying was not Cena speak. It was not Cena speak, or the usual Cena speak that we hear. Yeah. So I don't know. There's a lot. Look, we got plenty of time to discuss this because we have to see what happens at Chamber on Saturday, and then the fallout from that, and then we should have more of a straight line of what the hell we're getting at Mania and what this means and all this stuff. Because, there are still rumors. Right now, we only got 2 matches confirmed for WrestleMania, and it's Jey Uso and Gunther, and it's Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte. That's all we got, all right? So after this weekend, we'll know who Cody's fighting. We'll know who Rhea's fighting, and things should start aligning themselves up a little bit more, obviously, because we're going to be in the 6-7 week home stretch here. And then we can kind of lean because, the rumors are Punk, Roman, and Rollins. Cool. But you can make a strong argument that Punk might deserve to be in that match with Cena and Cody from what's been going on. You can make an argument like, where's Drew McIntyre fit? Where does Damian Priest fit? There's a lot of pieces. Yeah, we're not talking about, but there's a lot of pieces that need to find their puzzle, if that makes sense. So we got to kind of see where we're at. And then I think once we know what the match is, whether it is Cena and Cody, whether it is Punk and Cody, whether it is a triple threat, then we can really start leaning into what we think is going to happen.
Even if you think about it too. If you think about it, there is kind of things you can already see for a couple of people in that match.
Yes.
You can already see, like, Logan Paul being involved with any of them for a single match, or him get involved in, say, a probably already planned match between Drew and Priest.
Maybe AJ Styles is lingering out there for for Logan as well. Last night, like, again, it's probably not the WrestleMania match I want to see for Punk, but Josh said something. He said, even if they went in that direction where they did a CM Punk and Logan Paul thing, like, Josh was like, I think that I would be in on that. I would be in on that. So, like, Logan, there's multiple. I don't think Punk would be okay with that.
I think Punk is honestly too. Logan is beneath Punk. I'm just gonna put.
I think in Punk's eyes, he would probably feel that way. I think he would.
And in that sense, I would agree with him.
I think he would. I think he would feel that way.
I don't think that that's a Mania match. I think you can do Punk. So I do agree. While I did kind of think last night maybe Seth as a fourth option for selling his soul.
What about Drew McIntyre?
No.
Him and The Rock have a history.
Not because I don't see it as a thing that Drew as a character would do. I just think that he's too involved with Damian Priest and even LA Knight, kind of. Like LA Knight and Damian and Drew have kind of been in like this on-off feud between the three of them. And I think that that's the direction that they go in for WrestleMania. And then
I think LA Knight's going to win back the U.S. title on Friday from Shinsuke, and that's going to be the Mania match as a triple threat for the U.S. title with Drew.
Maybe it's a four-way.
Oh, maybe they throw Shinsuke in there and it's a four-way.
I was going to say maybe Logan, but
maybe they could do that. I think Logan is going to end up being involved with. He's either going to do AJ Styles one-on-one because they've been teasing that a little bit, or I think Logan will be involved in like a multi-man match for the IC title. Kaiser, Penta, Braun Breaker, Logan Paul.
He's a Raw.
Yeah, Logan's on
guy,
Raw.
So
he's on Raw. So I think AJ.
Although it seems like it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter nowadays. But anyway, but I don't know. There's a lot of we got to get through Chamber, and then I feel like things will start to the paths will start to iron themselves out, and then we can really lean into our theories and our stuff like that, because we already have, we spent an hour and 11 minutes and we've just talked about Cody and The Rock and really what could happen there with Punk and all this stuff. And we don't even really know what the match is yet.
Yeah. Right.
So Matt, you know what I mean? So
a lot of very interesting avenues.
Oh, big time. And those avenues are only going to get bigger and brighter once we firmly, no pun intended, know what the matches are. You know what I mean? I will say, obviously, we talked about the promo segments of the show. The wrestling last night on Raw was also very, very good. Yeah. The triple threat match with Kaiser, Pete Dunne, and Penta, it went 9 minutes, Drew. But it was a 9-minute sprint. A 9-minute sprint with these guys. And I'm going to be honest, I can't remember the last time that they have knocked a debut out of the park like they've been doing with Penta. It is unbelievable how much of a superstar this guy is. His first real loss, by the way. And I was actually glad that Kaiser got the win because all three of these guys are great. Kaiser, we've talked about him. That guy's got it all too. So doesn't Pete Dunne.
Yes,
he does. Kaiser's got it all too. And it's one of those things where that was a good little surprise that Kaiser got the victory here. But again, this was a very quick match, under 10 minutes, but it was a full-on sprint. And these three guys were working their asses off in this match. And we saw Kaiser get the surprising victory, but Penta just continues to be.
And I thought that this was going to be the match of the night for me, but then the main event.
Oh, well, so yeah, we'll get there.
We'll talk about that.
We'll get there.
This was a very, very good match. And I do agree. I think Kaiser was the right victor. Mm-hmm. And the way that he does it, a cheap win, but it makes sense for his character. And I'm all for it.
Yeah. Oh, we got Peggy popping in the chat. Hello, Peggy. How are you?
Hey.
Hope you're well this morning.
Should we do it?
No.
Should we? No, you don't want to.
We're not there yet.
What? When we get
we're not there yet. Yeah, we're not there yet. I thought this was good. I thought this was really good. We then had a Rhea Ripley, Io Sky little segment. They were in the Okerlund position. And they had that. I assume that'll be the main event of Raw next week. Will be for the women's world title with Io and Rhea Ripley. That should be very good. That happened. New Day had a glorified squash of sorts with the LWO. Del Toro
I wouldn't say that. They got their shit in. There was not.
Yeah, but it was, it was pretty quick. I would maybe not glorified squash, but it was a glorified showcase match for the New Day. They were going to win this match. They won this match. After the match, though, they start beating down the LWO, and Dragon Lee makes the save, or tries to make the save, and then the New Day beats him down a little bit. And I thought the New Day needed that. I thought the New Day needed a kind of a match in a segment where they look strong. And Rey Mysterio hasn't been there the last couple of weeks. Dragon Lee cut a promo last week. He was the big guy that was trying to make the save. But the New Day shouldn't be losing to any of these three guys. So I thought last night that segment it did what it did for the New Day. I think it was pretty needed for the New Day to look strong. There was a little backstage segment where the Judgment Day is continuing to dissolve. Finn Balor still being a dick.
So I said last week with Dan.
Yes.
I said Finn Balor, his role right now is I'm going to make it about me, and I'm also going to add to the tension instead of ease it.
Yeah, that's fair.
He is not there to be a peacemaker.
No, he is not. And he's saying last week was the most embarrassing day in the history of the Judgment Day. He said it was all Dom's fault for losing to AJ Styles and getting speared by Braun Breaker. Then Dom says, hey, look, you lost to Seth when you were going to be a chamber. He goes, what about we should get a new member? And Balor is like, absolutely not. We're not getting a new member. I'll figure this out for us. And then Liv comes in and she's pissed. She's like, you guys are still talking about this? Like, tonight's about us. Like, we're going for the tag titles tonight. Like, it's about us. Can we stop doing this and stick together? Because we're trying to bring home gold for the Judgment Day. And then Finn is kind of like, oh, well, that stunt you pulled with Jade Cargill and all that. And Liv's like, we didn't do that. We didn't do that. We would tell you if we did that. So they're still going. And then Carlito's yelling at everybody, trying to be the calming person. And they're like, shut up, Carlito. Anyway, that's what happened there. That was all right. And I'll tell you what I did like. What I did like as well is this little makeshift match we got between Akira Tozawa and Gunther. This was a good time. This was a good time. Yeah, this was a good time.
I did not expect this to happen at all.
Yeah. At the beginning of the show, they showed Gunther walking in to the building, and he had walked by the Alpha Academy. It looked like they were it looked like they were filming like TikTok video, or they were filming some sort of video, Maxine, Tozawa, and Otis. And he kind of looked at them and kind of made a face and made fun of them. So Gunther comes out, and he's dressed to go. He's in his wrestling gear. He's ready to go. He says, you're going to see me tonight. I was initially going to angry challenge Jey Uso, but now I'm excited to embarrass him at Mania and to end this Yeet circus for good. He goes, so yesterday I went to Adam Pearce and I said, hey, I want to fight tonight. And he goes, and I have my hand-picked opponent, Akira Tozawa. Tozawa comes out, and Gunther then starts to explain to Tozawa why he picked him. And he said, I saw you doing some TikTok dance earlier. He goes, and it bothered me because we have a lot of things in common. You and I both uprooted our whole lives to come to WWE. You and I both got in the best shape of our lives to prove that we belong here in WWE. He goes, but you're wasting it all by dancing and hanging around and being a goof with these two losers. He goes, but tonight, Akira, you can do something Jay can never do. You can earn my respect. And he starts pushing him around a little bit. And Tozawa kind of snaps. And we have an impromptu match. And Tozawa kind of, he got a, again, like this was another, obviously we knew Gunther was going to handle business here. But Tozawa got a good amount of offense here. And the crowd was really behind Tozawa. And this match to me is like, we're not going to remember this match a couple months from now. We just won't. But this is a match to me that shows why Gunther is so good at what he does.
This was like expert heel work from Gunther.
Mm-hmm.
This textbook. This was exactly how it needs to be done. And
it was,
it was, even though, he wasn't letting Akira Tozawa get his shit in. It was like 1, 2, 3 Kid versus Razor Ramon-esque in the like, hey, this guy who is absolutely in no way, shape, or form gonna win this match. Oh shoot, he might win. Oh my god, he might win this match.
Yep.
Oh, like there. That's that type of a thing with the classic babyface and heel. This
Mhm.
was this shocked me because I said on your watch along last night, I was like, in another era, this is over in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
There is
And then even Josh was like,
none of
in
this
another
offense
era,
from Tozawa.
in another era, this match doesn't even happen, which is probably the case if we think about it. You know what I mean? And it's just like, yeah. And then what happened? Like, and then afterwards, so Gunther hits the power bomb. He goes for you think the game over 1, 2, 3, and he lifts Tozawa up, and he gives him a sleeper hold, and he hangs him kind of because Tozawa's so small. He's kind of hanging him, and like he's standing up and he's hanging him. He passes out, match over, and then Gunther goes back and that causes Otis to get in the ring, and Otis and Gunther have a little exchange to which the crowd is going nuts. We were all going nuts. I'm sitting there going, I need to see Gunther versus Otis now. I need to see it. Gunther doesn't have to do anything until WrestleMania. We got 6 weeks. Give me that match on Raw. Next week, the weekend, give me it. I want Gunther and Otis. Now I want that match to see. And then eventually he starts taking down, and Jey Uso makes the save. Gunther gets on out of there. Good stuff. Again, a match that we weren't expecting to have. Good stuff. Are you doing?
Let's do it like 2K, everybody.
Well, the 2K is you just gotta. All the crowd is like, their heads are like weird. Yeah. It's a good time. It's a good time. If you want to see that in its full entirety, watch the watch along last night because we did it for a while.
And Peggy even has the
clip out. She couldn't control herself.
It was so funny.
But I thought that was a good piece of business by Gunther. We then had a rematch in Lyra Valkyria's first WWE Women's Intercontinental title defense in a rematch against who she beat for that title in the finals of the tournament, Dakota Kai. They had a good little match here.
Yeah.
Loved
their gear. Like we mentioned, like
the colors.
Yep. It was perfect. Loved it.
Yep. And I said it during the match. Lyra, for being a smaller girl, she's got a lot of power. She did some power moves in this match, power bomb and a bunch of like a few other moves. Like, this was another good match between these two. But Lyra Valkyria ends up retaining. She beats Dakota Kai once again with the Nightwing, retaining the championship. They have a good little sportsmanship moment. And as Dakota Kai is leaving, Ivy Nile attacks her from behind, and then she runs into the ring, and she attacks Lyra Valkyria, and Ivy kind of stands tall in the middle of the ring holding up the women's IC title.
The next IC title winner right there. I
agree. My thing with this was I love Dakota Kai. I wanted Dakota Kai to be the first ever women's IC champion. To me, and we talked about it a little bit last night, to me, this felt like we knew we were getting to Ivy Nile versus Dakota. Versus Lyra. So why did Lyra why did Dakota have to be in this match and take another big L here? Like, why couldn't this have been any other of the women you're not using on Raw, maybe? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
That's my thing. Like, obviously,
they did kind of do similarly with the US, the women's
US
they
had the rematch with Michin, and and it's like, okay, I get it. I don't know. I just feel like Dakota Kai, if the end result was going to be what we saw with you can take the glasses off. I mean, we stopped talking about them if you want.
I mean, no. Sometimes I just want to see red.
All right, fair. I mean, I don't blame you.
Sometimes I do see red. So
yeah, I don't know. I just felt like maybe this could have been Lyra Valkyria versus somebody else, and then you could have had the attack afterwards. I don't know, like Dakota getting another L, where I feel like she didn't really necessarily need to even be in the match. That part of it, I was kind of like, all right. But Yeah, we're clearly getting Ivy Nile and Lyra. I would expect Ivy Nile. I think here's what's going to happen, because then we saw something later on with the Creeds and Ivy Nile. The Creeds were kind of all giddy and talking up Ivy in the back, and the War Raiders pop up out of nowhere and they start attacking the Creed brothers. So we're clearly getting a run back of that match because of what happened. And I think the next time that match happens, the Creed brothers are winning those tag titles.
Interesting, though, that Valhalla is not there anymore, because she could be the woman.
She could, maybe that's the big moment.
Two man and a woman, and then that's two man and a woman, and you think maybe they do like a triple threat,
maybe
like man, woman.
I do think there is a very cool story that they can tell where, because Chad Gable had left a little while ago and he said, "Hey guys, I'm going to go learn the dark arts of Lucha Libre. I want you guys to win belts. I want you to win the IC title. I want you to win the tag titles when I come back, or for when I come back." And I do think that there is a cool story to tell with Chad Gable of him coming back and being proud at first of his team doing what he said, and then slowly losing his mind that he's the only person in the group that doesn't have a belt.
Yes.
Because
that's what I wanted them to do with the Bloodline. I wanted Roman to not have his title.
Yes.
And the Usos to still have the titles, just to see the dynamic there. So this would be a version of that, and I'm happy for it, because that is something you want to see. Yeah,
I think there's a very cool story there. Then we had this sit-down interview with Sami Zayn. Man, let me tell you.
Which we still first have to talk about what happened from SmackDown.
On SmackDown, because one of the few bright spots of SmackDown was this Kevin Owens video that they sent
to anybody, because it's Kevin Owens.
Yeah, he's literally the best at everything. It was good, though. You can tell that he was probably just there hanging out. They were probably just there hanging out, being best friends. And then he was like, "All right, I got to go film this, do this." But yeah, we had a video of Kevin Owens on Friday talking about Sami, talking about what he's going to do to Sami, talking about how close they are, their history. And he talks about his family. And you have the phone with KO, and then he kind of tilts the phone, and you see Sami with his wife and his kid, just being a dad, having a family night, watching TV. It was really good, Drew.
Yeah,
it was really good.
Stalker,
yes.
Yes, and it's selling, and what Sami does too in this promo.
Mm-hmm.
What they've been doing is they really are. This is like the tried and true. This is Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens once again, but not this time. This time it's different.
Yep.
And it's not been like Sami's been saying. It's not, "Oh, you're trying to get ahead of me to win a title or to get this opportunity. You're trying to end my career this time. You've never tried to really do." I mean, you could kind of argue that that first pop-up powerbomb in NXT kind of was like a career. You wanted to end somebody's career, kind of doing something like that. But they're selling this version now as, "No, this isn't, I want to get ahead of you. This isn't, I want to take that title opportunity from you. This is, I want you to be laying in a hospital bed, unable to move for the rest of your life, or dead."
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really good. Sami talks about how he went to Kevin's house to confront, so he did the same thing that KO did to him. Sami did the same thing. And he goes, "But Kevin wasn't there." And he goes, "And I talked to his mom." And we all know that Kevin's mom had a real life health thing. She had a real life health thing last year. That was real. Well, and he talks about it, and he's like, "She was in good health. She was in good spirits. And we chatted. I talked to his mom." And he goes, "And then I got home and I was ashamed of myself because I know the motive of why I went over there. And I can't even recognize who I am anymore. That's what you've done to me." And then he leans into it, and like you said, he was like, he goes, "The thing that's different about this time is I don't know what either of us are capable of doing to each other anymore. Because this is different than all the other times." These two guys, Drew, they're going to murder each other on Saturday.
Yes, in an unsanctioned match.
KO's got to win, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, me too.
I think so.
Do you think we see Randy Orton? Do we think we see Randy Orton? Because I feel like that's where it's going to be KO and Orton at Mania. I thought they would maybe do KO and Sammy at Mania, but I think they're blowing this off Saturday, and I think we're going to get KO and
Well,
Randy
you know what?
at Mania.
We could, so maybe if we're going to do a little prediction for Elimination Chamber right now, I say maybe Randy costs
KO the match and Sammy wins.
Because it is unsanctioned. So anything can happen.
Yeah. That could happen. I could see Randy coming back. Because I do think that's the Mania match for Owens, is Randy. I don't really know what that means for Sammy. Karrion Kross has been dangled out there, potentially. Which again, that's a dude that he's just killing it. He's been killing it for a while.
Take into account that they do use Smackdown as the WrestleMania Smackdown. So not everything is going to be on WrestleMania itself. It could be on Smackdown.
Yeah, well, I don't view that as
I don't. Oh no, I don't.
It's freaking Smackdown.
I'm just saying company.
Yeah. I think Sammy is a guy you probably want on the WrestleMania card, if I had to guess. But I don't really know if he's not involved with KO or even I don't really know where he slots in. Unless you're going to tell me that him versus Karrion Kross by the time we get there is going to be a WrestleMania worthy match or WrestleMania worthy story. Because I feel like you want Sami Zayn on the Mania card, right? Like he's one of your main guys. He's one of your guys, man. You know? So yeah. I don't know. We'll have to kind of see. But yeah, this was a really good sit-down segment with Sammy. Again, we've seen them fight a million times, and it's been great a million times. So, yeah, that's what we're going to get. We had a little Dominic Mysterio versus Braun Breaker match, Drew. This was very quick. Braun Breaker wins by DQ as Finn and Carlito were at ringside, and when it looked like Braun was basically going to destroy Dominic, which he was doing for most of it, they pulled him out of the ring. They started beating him down. Breaker recovered. He kind of threw Dom around. He speared Carlito. A good spear, by the way. I mean, Braun has one of the best.
Oh my God. It was like this jumping, missile-looking spear. It was crazy.
Yeah. And then him and Finn Balor kind of had a stare down as Finn was trying to sneak in the ring with a chair to hit him from behind, and Braun was a little too smart for him. And then Finn just kind of slid out of the ring, and that's what we went there. I like what they're doing with Braun Breaker because they're teasing a bunch of stuff with them. They did the AJ Styles stuff. Now him and Finn teased a little bit last night. He obviously last night he fought Dom, so I felt like that. I know they're doing tweener stuff with Braun Breaker as well. Last night he was full on babyface. Like that crowd was like, hell yeah, bro. So I like what they're that makes me think that Braun with the IC title may be heading towards a multi-man match at Mania because he's floating around with a lot of people. And it makes me think him and Penta had a little bit of I just think that's what we're getting.
Sandy asked who we think the new member will be. Now, last week with Dan Brown, I said it's going to be returning Malachi Black.
That's the thing that I don't want to happen.
So who do you think it'll be?
I think it's going to be AJ Styles.
Really?
Yeah. I can't give you a concrete reason why, but he's the guy that's sticking out to me the most.
Okay. Oh, you mentioned this last night.
Yeah.
I remember because I asked if AJ was the one that kicked Finn out of the Bullet Club originally. Yep. So yeah, so that could be potential. But that would be
AJ and Liv have a history. AJ and Liv have a history. They teamed up with each other against the Judgment Day in the early incarnations of the Judgment Day.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it was Finn, Liv, and who was the third one? But it was Finn and Liv were basically like not an on-screen couple, obviously, but they were like buddy for a while against Rhea, Edge, and Priest. Yeah. Very early on. Before Finn joined the Judgment Day and kind of became the de facto leader.
Yeah. Wow, I forgot about that.
Yes. So I think, and then we still, Liv and Finn still took Liv's hotel card way back when. He took the hotel room key. They left the car together. We saw Liv get out of an SUV, and then Finn got out of the SUV minutes later. I don't think that, again, things they can just do and forget about it. It was a while ago now.
They maybe just
but they probably did. But there's ways that they can make it work. And I feel like, yeah, AJ to me, I think AJ could be. I think AJ could be. Again, I don't know. My thing is, I think Malachi Black is going to, or Aleister Black, whatever they end up calling him, he's going to be on SmackDown. I don't think he's going to be on Raw. Not that it really matters, but I think he's going to be on SmackDown. And I don't want him to be in a group. I don't want him to be in a group. Just make him a solo guy, make him a solo star. If you want to pair him with Zelina, I would be okay with that. If you want to do an on-screen thing with them too. But I don't want him to be leading a group in AEW and then he leaves and then he just shows up in WWE leading a group. I just let that guy be a solo guy. He's a solo star. He was a solo star for you before he left. That's what I would kind of want. Not that I think it would be like a bad decision if they did that, but I feel like that would be, I don't know. And obviously we already talked about the Cody, Seth, and Punk and Rock and all that stuff at length today. So then it brings us to our main event. That's what I need, Ophelia. If you're bringing back Aleister Black, I need him to get the Penta treatment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He needs to get the Penta treatment where he comes back and he is a top guy. He's important immediately. Like they should basically just do what they did with Penta, but on SmackDown. It's just have him go out there, have him wrestle great opponents, and have him get over with his wrestling and how cool his entrance is and just how cool of a guy he looks like. And just let him be him and go. We then got to the main event. There was a backstage segment with Jey Uso and A-Town Down Under, but it was really I think that's just setting up Jey fighting these guys in the time between now and Mania. Because like I said, Jey already has a match at Mania, so he doesn't have to do anything. So I think giving him a one-on-one match with Austin Theory and then Grayson Waller or one of the other or both, like that, I feel like that's something for Jey to do on his way to Mania. Because he's not going to be fighting Gunther for 7 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, he's got to do other shit. I did find it funny, though, that Austin Theory did yeet with one of the times that Jey yeeted, and it annoyed Grayson Waller. I thought that was funny. And then we had this main event, Drew. Women's tag team titles on the line. Bianca Belair and Naomi defending against the Judgment Day, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. And these ladies killed it.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
Match of the night.
Match of the year. That might have been that's an early match of the year candidate. That match, that last sequence, that last like 8 to 10 minutes, the false finishes. We were sitting there.
Some people don't like them, but
I thought last night they were great. And I thought that the no hard end time from Netflix, I think, came into play for like really the first time last night, as it was kind of past the 10:30 mark where they've been kind of ending the shows. And we were like, we don't know when this is going to end. Like, we don't know when this is going to end. And they had, I was like, oh my God, they're going to win the titles. No, they're going to retain. Oh, no, they're going to win the title. It was just it was just like that for like 5 minutes. And it was like,
they could have
holy
went
crap.
For 10 more minutes and I would have been enthralled.
Yeah. It was crazy.
Like a fight forever type of a match.
It was excellent. It was excellent. Very, very good. And at the end of the match, after some crazy false finishes, Naomi was going for the split-legged moonsault, and Raquel Rodriguez grabbed her by the leg and smashed her head into the post.
Thanks to an assist by Dominic Mysterio.
Dominic Mysterio was also there, so it wasn't really, the numbers weren't really even. And Liv pins Naomi, and we have new, as Sandy just said, the first ever 3-time women's tag team champions. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez are the new women's tag team champions. I would say easily the best main event in the Raw on Netflix era. I thought this main event was a special match. I'm glad they gave them time because they were coming out at like 10:25. And we were all on the watch along going like, oh God, is Jade going to come back and this match is going to be over in 4 minutes? Like, was something going to happen? Is this going to, but they gave him time and they let him go. And this was very good. And I expect the main event next week with Rhea and Io to be equally as good.
And we thought Jade was coming back.
They definitely played into it. We saw a vignette before the match that showed Jade on top of the car and it said 2 months ago, and they've been playing it up again. I do think we are going to see Jade Cargill imminently here as early as maybe Saturday or at least next week after the Chamber. But now we have Naomi and Bianca in the women's Chamber match, and they are not entering as champions now. They are entering beltless. So do we think maybe we see a little bit
tension between them a little bit?
Yes. Do we think that we see?
You could kind of see, I didn't mention this on the watch along.
You could see it in Bianca's face after the match, right?
Yeah, Bianca's face did not look happy after that.
No, so she did not.
That's going to play into the Elimination Chamber for sure.
Yeah. So I want to talk about, before. Well, first of all, give me your. I know you agreed. We were watching it together, but give me your quick assessment on this main event, because then I do want to talk about the 2 Chamber matches on Saturday and what we think is gonna happen, really, specifically with the. Yeah. So I want to talk about this women's one because I honestly don't know who's going to win the women's Chamber match right now. Like I have an idea, but I thought it was going to be Io this whole time. I thought it was Io and Rhea was where we were going. We're getting that on Raw next week.
Yeah.
The women's Chamber match is loaded as well. I don't know where they're going here. So talk about the main event and then we can talk about that.
Yeah, so this main event was like it was one of the best main events of Raw on Netflix so far, if not the best. I mean, it was so, like you said, that last 8 to 10 minutes of false finish, false finish, false finish. Oh my God, they're going to win. Oh my God, they're going to lose. Like, it was, you could watch all our reactions, the 4 of us on that watch along last night. It was insane. I was like, oh, they could have won another 10 minutes. They could have won another 20 minutes. I would have been like, hell yeah, this match rules. So yeah. I was a fan of this whole thing. I was so happy I obviously now Naomi and Bianca losing plays into a couple of stories.
For sure.
One is now they're going into the Elimination Chamber not as champions, while one of the people who defeated them is in the Chamber match. And then also the Jade factor, when Jade comes back, whether it's at Elimination Chamber or after, and now the tension between the 2 of them because they've lost the championship.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be really, really interested to see what happens in this Elimination Chamber. And because now they are no longer champions, I feel like maybe Bianca wins.
Maybe.
If not,
I mean, to me, I feel like it's Bianca or Bayley. I feel like are the 2 choices. When I look at, because I don't think it's going to be Liv. They just won the tag belts. We're not doing Liv and Rhea again. We're just not right now.
It's not going to be Liv.
It's not going to be Liv. Roxanne Perez, I think, is going to have a wonderful showing in this match, but I don't think they're not going to put the rocket on her that quickly.
No.
I do think the Naomi
person. Yeah. I wasn't thinking of Bayley.
They teased it a little bit with her and Rhea. They've teased it.
They have teased it, but I think her and
Roxanne,
that
should be the Mania match to me,
or more together. I think if not Bianca, I think Alexa Bliss.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously, I think that they were expecting Alexa Bliss to get a good reaction when she returned. But I think her reaction at the Royal Rumble, I think maybe even shocked some people in the back. She clearly had the loudest pop of the evening. Like, and it wasn't close. It wasn't close. She's getting great reactions on SmackDown. Another one of the very few things that was good on SmackDown was the vignette they had for Alexa Bliss on SmackDown.
Oh, yeah.
Where they leaned into the Wyatt shit and they leaned into the creepy stuff. I could see, again, it feels too thrown together a bit. I could see Alexa Bliss sneaking in there. But Rhea and Alexa Bliss, I don't know how that hits right away. Look, at the biggest, we've talked about it at length before. We've been doing this for a bit. The biggest women's match they have in the chamber, no pun intended, that they haven't done yet is a one-on-one with Bianca and Rhea. That's the biggest women's, that to me is the marquee.
Yeah.
These are the two biggest stars that we have currently and for the next 5 to 10 years with these two. I think it's Bianca that still attacked Jade, but they're leaning that it's more they're leaning to me that it's more Naomi. Naomi's the first, she's the quickest to point fingers at other people. She was there at the ambulance when they showed that video of Liv and Raquel. Naomi was already near the ambulance. So why was she already there? Bianca came later, which tells me that maybe Bianca, I don't know. But, and I agree with Bonkers with that. Like, listen, if you're going to tell me that it's Bianca and Rhea at WrestleMania, that match is going to be, as the young people say, it's going to feed families, as the young kids say. All right, like it is. All right, I feel like that match needs more of a build than 6 weeks. I feel like when you're having Bianca and Rhea for the title one-on-one for like the proper first time.
But they already have history that they can play off.
Well, they do, and they do. But I feel like it should be something that's just built up longer than what we would get heading into Mania. That's just how I feel. I feel like it would be a bit rushed to me. I feel like it would be a bit rushed. I was going to say, is there a potential? I know we're talking about a ton of multi-person matches. Is there potential that this ends up, instead of being Jade versus Bianca or Jade versus, could it be a triple threat with Jade versus Naomi versus Bianca at WrestleMania? Like, is that a possibility that has to be on the table, that it's a triple threat with these three and not just one of you did it and one of you's fighting Jade? Obviously, Bianca and Jade, I think, is more of a star-studded one-on-one match than Bianca and Naomi, even though I think Bianca and Naomi would be great. But could it be a triple threat? Could Jade come back and just say, F you both? I don't know who it was, but I know it was one of you, so screw you both.
But they shouldn't want to wrestle her, though.
Well, one of them, though, you would assume is the attacker.
The person who definitely didn't attack her shouldn't want to wrestle her.
No, but they should want to wrestle the other person. And what if Jade comes back with a little bit of, like, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It's I feel like it would either just be
one of
a singles match or not. It doesn't. I don't feel like it's like you could do Bianca versus Rhea, and then Naomi versus Jade. Naomi versus Jade.
Yeah. Yeah. I again, like looking at the field for this women's chamber match.
What if both of them attacked her?
Yeah. Like that's what I'm trying to think of. Like, what could? Yeah. Again, like I'm not upset that I don't know everything that's happening at WrestleMania. I'm not upset that we only know two matches and there's a lot of unknowns.
The of it is phenomenal.
I feel like CM Punk could be in 2 different matches. I feel like Bianca Belair could be in 2 or 3 different matches. I feel like Logan Paul, even though I'm not a big fan of his, he could be in a bunch of different, like there's a bunch of people on both divisions, on both rosters that could be in like 2 or 3 different matches for WrestleMania. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. But I feel like going into this match if we're looking at Saturday, right? You have the men's chamber. I think you and I are in agreement that Cena is going to win it. We feel like Cena is going to win it. Cena or Punk, I would say, would be our top 2 choices, but we both feel like John Cena will win.
Yeah.
That women's chamber, I really don't. I know who's not going to win more than I know who's going to win. Like, I know Liv's not going to win. Yeah,
we know that Roxanne is not going to win.
I know that Roxanne's not going to win. But like,
And because I know that Roxanne is not going to win, I feel like I know Bailey's not going to win.
Yes, and because of the Naomi, Jade, and Bianca stuff, I almost feel like neither of them are going to win.
Oh, then there's Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We pick Alexa Bliss as the winner then.
But Alexa Bliss versus Rhea, even though I think, again, could be good, does that jump off the page? Like, that's kind of a match none of us were expecting at all. I don't know, man.
I don't know. But yeah, you're right. It's easier to predict who isn't going to win.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the most unpredictable matches of the card. Really.
Yeah, and I think it opens the show, and I think it's just we don't know what's going to happen. Because all right, so
I think Bianca eliminating Naomi and Jade attacking Naomi back up the ramp.
Maybe that's what maybe one of them eliminates the other one, and it's like, hey, look at every woman for its, this is an every woman for itself thing. We talked about it, but now because they lost the belts,
just losing the title.
Exactly. Now they lost the belts, so now this and that. Yeah, and you're right, Bonkers. Like, nobody predicted Jay was going to win the Rumble, so why not give us another surprise? I'm not against it. I'm just like, I look at
Jay, with the huge reactions that he was getting in WWE, going, you know what? Yeah, we're going to put it on this guy because you all love him. With the reaction that Alexa got at the Rumble, you were saying even people in the back were shocked about it. Maybe they go, you know what? Let's have her win the chamber.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's going to be, there's a lot of unanswered questions that I don't think we're going to get all the answers on Saturday at the chamber. I don't. But I think we're going to get a few of them. And again, we're talking about Rhea because we assume, but who knows? She's fighting. She has to beat Io next week for her title as well. So it's not like it's a guarantee. It will be Rhea, but it's not like it's a guarantee that it could be Rhea. Io is a very formidable opponent. She was the champion going into WrestleMania last year, dude. What if something happens in that match that leads to Io somehow becoming involved in Rhea's match at WrestleMania? Maybe there's a schmoz. Or maybe there's
Bonkers just said something could also happen on SmackDown too.
Correct. Correct. I know Hoosier. I don't think she's going to be back in time for Mania now, maybe. But Hoosier mentioned Becky Lynch earlier. We still don't know what the hell's going on with Becky Lynch. Is she going to be back before Mania? Are they going to try to pencil her in a big match at Mania? Or are we not seeing her for a little bit? We still don't know. Seth has publicly said she's definitely coming back at some point. Everybody thought she was going to come back on the Raw on Netflix debut. Nope. Everybody thought she was going to come back at the Rumble. Nope. Everybody thought she'd come back and be in this chamber match. Nope. Is she coming back? Who knows? That's a big domino to fall, and somebody you're going to have on the Mania card. If she decides that she's coming back, you're not going to not have Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. There's things. That's sad. I think criminally underrated.
Carmella, who's no longer with the company, we found out over the weekend.
Yes, unfortunate. I'm a big proponent of Carmella. I think she was criminally underrated. But let me look, because we have the 2 chamber matches, right? We have the 2 chamber matches. We have the KO Sammy match. Cody is going to, answer The Rock. And then there's one more match, right? Isn't there one more match? There's 4 matches.
The U.S. title?
Is that official? No, that's happening on Friday. Oh, Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus versus Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. That's what I thought. So that match is happening. That match will be fun, but that match means nothing at all. It's just a way to get Trish on the show, fighting in her hometown of Toronto. It should be a fun match. I like everybody involved in that match, but that's really just I guess the good thing that has come out of it is it feels like for the first time now that Tiffany Stratton is like a full-on babyface.
Yeah, which is nice to see. Finally,
I agree.
Because Charlotte, took advantage of the match that she had on SmackDown, and
yep,
it looks like they're finally leaning into Charlotte being the heel.
Yep.
and that's fine with me because she's a heel. She is not a
She is.
babyface.
She is. So that is the whole card. We talked the men's chamber match. We talked the women's chamber match. I would assume that Tiffany and Trish are going to win that match. I don't think you'd have Trish in that match to take an L in her first time wrestling in a while in Toronto, her
Yeah,
home country.
probably.
So I'd assume,
especially because there's also Sammy and Kevin or the Canada
yes.
cars as well.
So you kind of have your
representation.
representation of, you have the Toronto person, because Sammy and KO are Canada, but they're Montreal. So like
Right.
Toronto is represented by Trish on this show, but Canada has a good representation anyway because they're in Canada. But yeah, that's what I kind of feel like. So I think Tiffany and Trish win. I think I'm gonna pick Kevin Owens to win.
I'm picking Sammy.
I could see Randy coming back though and costing KO. Yeah, I could see that. And then I'm going Cena in the men's chamber. And if I had to pick, I literally don't know. I think I'm going to pick Bianca in the women's chamber.
Yeah,
but I honestly don't know.
I'll say Bianca wins the women's chamber. Tiffany and Trish win. Cena wins. Sammy wins. And then
that's it. The Rock. Cody says no. Cody says no to The Rock. Yeah. So, I mean, look, it should be fun. This is the official last stop before the official road to WrestleMania opens up for us. So there should be a lot of big things that are happening on this Saturday. My thing is, do we think, real quick before we get out of here, do we think that maybe one of the other two individuals besides Cody, do we think that they sell their soul to The Rock to win the chamber match? Because The Rock will be there in the building. Or do you think that that's something that Cody says no, and then we deal with it after?
I think that the shock is when it happens at WrestleMania.
And just think if they did the triple threat with Cena, Punk, and Cody, just think about the one-on-one promos that The Rock would have leading up to that. He'd have a one-on-one promo in the ring with Cena, and then he'd have one with Punk. We've already seen a few with Cody, but like those promos with the history with him and all three of those guys.
Holy fuck. Wait a minute. So they can this has got to be the Mania match. It's got to be the triple threat, because what's going to happen now is Rock is going to have to tuck his tail between his legs because Cody says no, but then he's going to try and convince Punk.
Correct.
And then he's going to try and convince Cena.
Correct.
And then he's going to be there for that main event.
And then he comes out with 10 minutes to go in the main event, and nobody knows who's one of them. But one of them is. And nobody knows. And you have that end sequence of those three dudes fighting for the title. Punk fighting to get his main event moment at WrestleMania. Cena fighting to get the record. And Cody fighting to keep his title. And The Rock is just looming over everything.
Okay. So Cena wins the chamber.
Yes.
Cody says no at the chamber.
Mm-hmm.
The next week or two, Rock comes and it's a promo with Cena. Maybe it could be at the MSG Raw.
Could be.
Maybe. He comes in and now he's like, well, you know what, Cody, that son of a bitch. He said no.
Mm-hmm.
But what about you, John? We have the Hollywood connection.
We have a lot of history.
We can rule here. We can be the special attraction of the century. The two of us, the monsters of this company. We can be the leaders. Come, join me.
Yeah.
Join me. Be my champion. And I'll be on your side at WrestleMania. And then Cena says no. And then this is what happens. So how does Punk get into the main event?
He sells his soul to The Rock.
It could either be that or Punk uses Heyman's connection with The Rock to allow him to also be in the main event.
Good. I feel like that's more designed for a Roman story, though. You know what I mean? I feel like that the favor part of it was more of a design for the like a Roman, which is why everybody thinks the triple threat match with Punk will be the Roman Seth one, because of the connection to Heyman, which is more of a Roman centered thing, not a Rock centered thing. I feel like the Rock is completely not separated himself, because he never really will, but I feel like the Rock stuff is not the bloodlines. Like they're different now. They're different.
I don't know. It's like, I don't hate the idea that you just said of Punk using his favor by becoming the corporate person, but I don't think that I think that selling the drama and the shock of WrestleMania is that we don't know going into it who sold their soul.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, like, if Punk comes in already having sold his soul, I don't think that it has that moment to it. The moment is when we find out, before the finish, who sold their soul. Because that whole match is going to be that anticipation of, did Cody do it? Did Cena do it? Did Punk do it? Who did it? And maybe even, I don't know if it could even just be Cena and Cody. Maybe it's not even Punk, or Punk and Cody.
Yeah.
And we're just like, hey, who's the one? Because when The Rock comes down, it's just like when The Rock came down to WrestleMania 40. Shit's gonna happen. Who, when he comes down and is there, and he's just looking at the both of them, one of them sold their soul, and we're gonna find out when their hand gets raised as the winner.
We sure are. Drew, WrestleMania season, baby. WrestleMania season is upon us. There is a lot of things. We're going to be talking about a lot of shit these next 2 months almost, about what could happen, what's going to happen, and all this fun stuff. Had a lot to talk about. We did it. Today was a good episode. Good to be back. Feeling refreshed. Good to go. Drew and I will be back Thursday, 10 a.m. Firmly AEW, another wrestling show that has been very good for the last month and a half. AEW seems to be hitting a stride, heading to Revolution. I will be back on my own personal channel tonight. You can follow me right here at JPJ Loves Gaming. It'll be me and Peggy, a giant NXT tonight. The Hardy Boys are on NXT tonight.
I might check it out, Sandy. I think it's going to be a good show.
The Hardy Boys are going to be on NXT tonight. Moose is fighting on NXT tonight. Got some cool stuff. Yeah, but it's pretty cool. The TNA champion, that's going to be him and Trick. It's going to be all right. They're in Cincinnati tonight. They're on the road. They're making it. Ricky Starks is having his NXT debut tonight as well. I'm sorry, Ricky Saints. My bad. I actually like the name. I don't mind the name at all.
I don't mind it.
What would you think if they got rid of the S and it was Ricky Saint, though? Would you have liked that better? Because I feel like I would have liked it if it was Ricky Saint better than Saints. But I like it. I think it's pretty good.
Well, I think the S's there, one, because of the team.
Yeah.
The New Orleans factor there.
Yeah. It's Moose and Obafemi tonight. Incredible. That's going to be a good time. That's going to be a good time.
And then a dream match, apparently. I think that it's the S is there for the team and the play into the New Orleans, and then also because Starks
and Saints is I actually think the name is good. I don't dislike the name at all. I thought it fits. I think it's good.
Yeah, it's not the worst they could have done.
No, my only thing, I guess, and again, we got to get out of here, but my only thing is, like, if Ethan Page could keep his name, why couldn't Ricky Starks? You know what I mean? Like, why did there have to be a name change?
I don't remember who said this. I think maybe it was Sinner on our show last week. No, Peggy. Sorry, that's not gonna happen.
Drew's not gonna watch NXT tonight because he doesn't like good wrestling shows. Kidding. They are consistently the best, though. But anyway, continue.
debatable. But I forgot what I was going to say now. That just took me. What was I saying?
It was the Ricky Saints thing. I was like, why can Ethan Page change his name, keep his name,
yeah,
but
I
Ricky
think
can't?
Center was the one that said Zoe Stark is there, and they don't like double naming. So probably they.
Oh, that's fair.
Change.
That's fair. You don't want a Starks and a Star. Okay. But then you could have so many Game of Thrones twists. I kid. All right. Anyway, that's the end. Great show today. Thank you for everybody in the chat. Good hanging out. Good talk. We spent over an hour discussing all the possibilities of what could happen with that Rock and Cody and Seth and Cena and Punk. So there's a lot to talk about. Fun stuff. Drew and I will be back Thursday afternoon. Like I said, Thursday morning, 10 a.m., Firmly AEW. Thursday nights, 8 p.m. for me, Between Two Beers with my main squeeze Pluggo. We're back, as I was obviously on vacation, not a part of that show either last week. Drew, let the people know where they can follow you, what you got coming up the rest of the week, and then we can get on out of here.
Follow me at the Drew Nicholas on Twitter and Blue Sky, and catch me here on Thursday with Firmly AEW with JPJ, and follow Firmly LW, our social media on Twitter as well.
Yeah. Do what he said. JPJ loves gaming everywhere. Appreciate everybody. And Drew and I, you know the drill. Until Thursday morning, friends. Have a good rest of your day. Peace out.